the causative elements. The first is intellectual poverty. Everything so wrongfully manifesting in Nigeria stems from intellectual poverty. The greatest and one of the two central problems of Nigeria is that the country is not a knowledge-based system. It is an anti-intellectual society. In Nigeria, whenever I speak about intellectual poverty, many Nigerians, including many academic professors and readers, do not realize what it means. They faultily align intellectual richness to academic qualifications or college certificate instead of intellectual prowess, competence, and productivity. Even those who cry and seek reform suffer the same misfortune of intellectual poverty in Nigeria. Let me draw some simplistic analogies of what I mean. One of the cross-cutting demands and recurring mantra outside the 5 demands of the Nigerian End-Sars protest is that leadership positions should be taken over by the youth. Ridiculously, some of them propose maximum age limit for presidency, the governorship, parliamentarians, and local governments, electioneering process to be 55 years. They also propose university degrees as minimum qualification for electioneering qualification for those political offices. This tells you that they themselves are not well educated to know that age has never been a problem factor in leadership. Rather, knowledge and competence is. A man's intelligence can never diminish because he has grown old. Rather, experience and long living go add to more knowledge. Whether you are old or young, you are intellectually bankrupt, and when you are intellectually bankrupt, that is your state of consciousness. They fail to realize that most of the leaders in Nigeria today took up political offices when they were quite young. There is absolutely no difference between those leaders of yesterday and of today. They remain at their level of intellectual consciousness and limit. Another angle to it, and of course very fundamental, is the decimation of judicial sacrosanctity and judicial supremacy. In my book titled Law in Tears, Legal Nihilism and Decimation of Judicial Supremacy, I have dealt comprehensively on all the challenges affecting the judiciary. Nigeria is a case study. The problem started with prolonged military rule in Nigeria, where the psyche of the people were suppressed to some of the deficient and devities personality psyche, and then encouraged corruption in the judiciary. Courts officials and judges live in abundance and avalanche of corruption. Then, of recent, it became worse since 2015. What happened? The centricity of the president of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, is a centric irritation about the judiciary manifested, and the president needed to hide his feelings. He went to the conference of Nigerian Bar Association and made a very astonishing statement that the rule of law is sufficient to national security and fight against corruption. And the lawyers clapped for him. That was an aberration. That was an affront on the inner morality of the law. So now he threw in that spirit into all the agencies of government. The next thing that happened was what they call sting operation borrowing the CIA language usually used against terrorists and people like that. Sting operation, judges' houses were invaded at late hours of the night, and the DSS harassed and arrested the judges, including the Supreme Court judges, outside the purview of the law. Now, the country turned towards a society of blackmail rather than law. Nobody wants to lose his liberty and reputation. So the judges became caged and psychologically trammeled and condensed into feeble-minded judges. The worst happened in 2019, prior to the presidential election in 2019. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, the then was Chief Justice Samuel Walter Onnoghen, who from the minority section of Nigeria, was unlawfully removed from office using a questionable motion ex parte by the Code of Conduct Tribunal. A kangaroo court sat down, designed by the executive, detected what it would do, and ordered the removal of the Chief Justice of the Federation. During the proceedings, you see, the problems are contributed by all the sectors. The National Judicial Council does not live up to its responsibility. And the Chief Justice of the Federation was removed in total breach of constitutional procedure on allegations that was already defeated by law. The National Judicial Council contributed to the detriment, embarrassment, harassment, and cannibalistic intrusion of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the head of the third arm of government. The Court of Appeal contributed. There was a case at the Court of Appeal. If Nigerian government is owing you today, and the judgment is delivered by a high court or a lower court against the government of Nigeria, and you commence execution, they rush to file an appeal. They will tell you that they cannot pay because they are on appeal. Matter is on appeal. That is against the common man. God fulfill its mandate for the executive. Despite orders of the Federal High Court and other courts restraining the court, even though we know that a section, if I'm not mistaken, either section 7, I don't want to make mistake of the Code of Conduct Act, exempted the then Chief Justice of Nigeria from the offense which he was alleged to have committed, having declared in further and better affidavit that he forgot to tender some of his assets. So you see, there was a coup between the politicians and the members of the judiciary to ensure that that Chief Justice is disgraced out of office for fear of the 2019 presidential election. Because he was not in the good book of the executive and was deemed or presume the presumptiveness of the members of the ruling party, of the government's cabal, was that if the president returned to power by process of written, if the Chief Justice remain in office, the election may likely be annulled, or someone else might be declared as a valid elected president. So Nigerians sacrifice the sacrosanctity of the judiciary, the sacredness, the inner morality of the law for political gain. Now the judges became afraid. If this can happen to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, a bold one at that, who believe in the rule of law and independence of the judiciary, what will befall us? And then the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission officials embark upon blackmails of judges and intimidation. And most of those judges who had EFCC cases before them were intimidated to the highest degree and tension. Now, this led to the feebleness of judges and it have a tremendous effect on human rights litigation against the citizenry. What the federal government is trying to do today is an aberration. Ordering the governor to set up judicial panels for inquiry is another means of looting the public funds. It is quite unnecessary because the laws are already there. The Constitution of Nigeria have created a profession. Chapter 4 have created a profession for enforcement of fundamental human rights. And there is a Fundamental Right Enforcement Procedure, Rules, 2009. When your right is breached, fundamental right is breached, or likely to be breached, you can approach the court. Either through the constitutional profession or the Fundamental Right Enforcement Procedure to enforce their rights in accordance with the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. How do we get to this? An accused person will be arrested by the police, sometimes, most times unlawfully, and is taken to custody until beyond the prescribed time, the time prescribed by the Constitution. And the lawyer will approach the court and file a motion ex parte, most time accompanied by an affidavit of extreme urgency, adducing facts. Some of those people have health issues. The judge is feeble, is very cautious and wary about granting orders against government agencies. You ask the lawyer to go and put the police on notice. The lawyer will put the police on notice. Police will not appear in court. The lawyer will approach the court and seek for his relief to be granted. So in a situation like that, the judge will refuse to grant the relief and require he has to see the police to force the appearance of the police in court. Descending the arena, becoming counsel for the police, and remaining the judge. And the result will be a motion for substantive service. And a judge, even when there is and I feel extreme urgency, adducing the grounds for an urgent release of the lawyer's clients from custody. The judge will adjourn for 5 more days. The lawyer returned to the client's family and tell them the situation. They are frustrated because they need the life of their family members, and they approach the police, and the police ask them to bring any amount of money. And because they want their person's liberty and his life to be guaranteed, the families will go all out to look for the money and give. And this becomes the system. So there's no consequence when the police breach the law. Because the institution that was started constitutionally, that was the purpose of the separation of power, to monitor and create a balance between the 3 arms of government. The other institution that is saddled with responsibility to checkmate and discipline errant police officers and police units has become feebled and surrendered to states, executive authorities and apparatus, and compromises the independence and immunity of the judiciary. So the public lost hope in the judicial system. And you see lawyers, second office, most of them become the police station. Instead of approaching the court for violation of his fundamental right of his client that have been brutalized, that have been unlawfully arrested, they rather go to negotiate with the police and money exchange hands. So this became the system. So why are you blaming the police? The system that was created for a purpose, because human nature goes with excesses. Excesses. That was the purpose of the separation of power, the doctrine of separation of power, propounded by Montesquieu. That was the essence. So when one unit becomes feebled and surrender its own authority as against the inner morality of the law, the citizens, the entire society suffers. That is one of the genesis, one of the fundamental causal factors of police brutality in Nigeria that have not been addressed. You cannot reform the police without reforming the judiciary. It is quite impossible. Another aspect is attitudinal proclivities of Nigerian citizens. There is a lack of national ethical orientation and value system. And I will do a little explanation to that effect. You see, an average Nigerian consciousness starts and ends with money, cars, and houses. That is the current national orientation. That is why you have proliferations of criminals, what they call the Yahoo boys, and even the police. Because the police are drawn from the critical mass of Nigeria for recruitment. So they enter the police force with the same mentality to make money. And where do we start from? Because this is even a very critical and complex problem. It starts from family. I draw an analogy of I visited a friend family on one Xmas, and then he has 3 daughters, and he has 3 daughters, and I gave the elder one that was a final year medical student in the university, I gave her 10,000 naira, and the second one gave her 5,000 naira when I was about leaving the house, and the little child I gave him 1,000 naira. Who is still in primary school. And she didn't tell me thank you. And the elder sister said, why didn't you tell uncles thank you? And she said, for 1,000 naira. And I was shocked. So I asked her to bring my money I want to collect it back, and I collected it. The question is, that child is being fed by the parents. How did she know the value of 1,000 naira and less value of 1,000 naira? Because the national orientation, the child is growing with that mentality. He's situated in money. Now, that is a child that will grow and probably become a lawyer in future and will go to the bench. And probably will join the police force and may become a commissioner of police. That is the orientation is going with. The entertainment industry promote this. The churches promote this. Religious group promote it. How do they promote it? The church doctrinal focus is prosperity and wealth and payment of tithe, irrespective of how you make the money. And the members are recognized as those who are or are already accepted into heaven or the celestial plane by the ability to bring money to the church. There is no spirituality, only religion, and there's no teaching of moral values any longer. So the orientation grows from there. Even if the family has a good moral philosophy, the other institution will corrupt the growing human. The entertainment industry, they will tell you how someone suffered in the village and then God came to liberate him. What is the liberation? That he traveled to town or the city and returned home with 3 jeeps or Mercedes Benz or SUV. That is the limit of the liberation from the Almighty God. They will never tell you the person became an inventor or he wrote a book. He was able to author a good book, or he became the best, or he won a Nobel Prize in literature, in mathematics, in chemistry, in photography, in geography, in environmental sciences, or in anything. The focus is the cars, the wealth of money. So the national orientation and value system rises and stops in making money. So these are the issues. The absence of moralist institution in Nigerian society. The police are coming from that society. People are joining the police force from that society. No respect to law and order. This is very fundamental because many people blame the police force, men and women, so much. No, the problem is not exclusively theirs. The police also are victims of the social disorder, just like any other Nigerian. Nigerian public hate the police because they are penchant for criminal activities and shortcuts. Particularly the criminals and the deviants. Nigerians break into, they don't like order. So some police brutality acts as a result of self-defense of the policemen. They have the right to stop you on the road, to search your phone. They don't have the right to search your phone because of the laws of data protection. But they have the right to check the boot. They have the right to ask you if they see someone looking pale inside the car, to ask that person, are you kidnapped? Or are you okay? And to check whether there is a gun in that car, used to intimidate that person not to talk. They have that right. It is their mandate under the law to do so. So it is not just the police alone. The Nigerian citizens are not people of law and order. So you can't cure this problem addressing all these issues, we need a national ethical orientation policy. What is the function of a national orientation agency? That agency of the federal government of Nigeria is not as it does not exist. So these problems are multifarious, multidimensional. The vast majority of Nigerians don't respect law and order. So this goes to issue of national attitude and character. Lack of integrity, lack of sincerity of purpose, ineptitude of the public servants, and lack of ideology. Then we go to the issue of inadequate legislation. The president recently signed into law a new police act which repealed the Police Act, Cap 19, Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004. The act comes with tangible innovations and provides an effective police service that complies with the principle of accountability and transparency, protection of human rights and freedom. That is the objective of the act. So that objective issues in the act already are taken care of substantial police reform, being a substantive law. Nevertheless, the act, with its innovative profession or mechanism, just like typical pitfalls affecting or always found in Nigerian legislation, which is as a result of intellectual property of our parliamentarians. The acts usurp or attempt to usurp the function of the Police Service Commission in contradiction with paragraph 30 of part 1 of the third schedule to the Constitution, which empowers the Police Service Commission to appoint persons into offices in Nigerian police force, except the office of the Inspector General of Police. But in an attempt to give too much powers to Inspector General of Police, including police service management and recruitment of personnel, in an attempt to personalize it and hijack it from the Police Service Commission, the National Assembly created a provision that is contrary to the Constitution and which of course renders the act a nullity. Again, the act makes no profession for the welfare of the policemen and women. This is a very fundamental causal factor. Police officers and Nigerian soldiers face daily life risks. They face armed robbers, they face kidnappers, they go on rescue team. So this is a sensitive public no asset allowance. But the National Assembly, our legislature have asset allowance. What is the asset that they face? And the police personnel and the soldiers that face asset on daily basis, risks of life, do not end that. Why would that be in a sane country? Before the new announcement of the upward review of the police force, they earn about 40-something thousand. That is for constable. And the senior police officer from Assistant Inspector General of Police just 100-something thousand on top. Why wouldn't they be corrupt? You legalize a man, legalize gun for someone, and put it on the road with gun, and you stab him. You're indirectly making him an armed robber. But in all that, they are very good police officers. This brought down to national orientation issue, the value system of Nigerians. The point I want to mention now is very fundamental and vital. Absence of proud recruitment evaluation and character verification. Everyone has the community they hail from. Although we have issues of extreme urbanization now, where some people don't know where they hail from. They were born in Lagos, and they grow in Lagos, and in other cities, but there are very few incidents of such. A police officer someone being employed in the police service or the military, those are sensitive departments of state. That they are legalized and undergone. So if you recruit an armed robber, you have a problem. Nigeria do not have a good recruitment, evaluation, and character verification system. It's easier in America because everyone is known. From the day you were born, the school you attended, all departments and several departments have a link to you, so you can easily be traced. That's why when you commit crime, they can easily find you. By your biometric and every other thing, you'll be fine. But Nigeria do not have a record system. So in that case, why can't Nigeria police and the military deploy a system of verifying someone's personality and pedigree before recruitment? Each community knows someone whose father or him has been an armed robber. So there should always be a recommendation from the community traditional rulers, recommending that they know this person from this family, and they have lived a good life and a life of good reputation, and they are not involved in stealing, and they are not involved in armed robbery, and they can testify about their good character. In the absence of that, from a religious group, if the person is an urban situated person, urban growing person, that could solve some problems. Then we go to inadequate, the training stock. As I said, I won't talk much about that. There is a difference between those coming out from the Nigerian Police Academy and the recruits, and those from the police college. So let the governments take the curriculum of the Nigerian Police Academy, study what they are doing, that they have a little difference from these ones. There will be something they are doing good. And some other person or others will testify to you. Will testify this fact. Inadequate welfare package and low salaries of police officers. Even the ones recently approved upward review of police salaries that is taking constable to 70,000 is not enough for someone that is handling guns. In a country of inflation, my recommendation should be that no military man, personnel, the least, let's say private soldier, or a constable in police force will receive less than 300,000 naira money, because it's a sensitive area.